We're in the midst of a staggering epidemic of chronic disease. Everywhere you look, children are struggling with asthma, autism, ADHD, depression, obesity, diabetes, or leukemia. These disabilities, which were unusual when our grandparents were young, have doubled in just 2 generations. Today, 1 in 4 children have a chronic health condition. 1 in 4. These epidemics have less to do with genetics and more to do with the everyday toxic chemicals found in our environment. The problem is our regulatory system hasn't kept up with the science. Each year, more and more chemicals we were told were safe turn out to be toxic. So the unshakable belief that more chemicals means progress is so pervasive that we have ignored or minimized their downside. This was not an accident. For almost 50 years, the chemical industry led a mass marketing campaign, Better Living Through Chemistry, to distract people from the damage caused by toxic chemicals. We shouldn't be surprised that the industry is misrepresenting the science. But why do our governments and regulators allow it? It turns out that your government is okay poisoning you, but just a little bit at a time. 50 years ago, governments were faced with a monumental decision about how to regulate chemicals. After much back and forth and with little evidence, the agencies made a convenient assumption. They declared chemicals were safe at lower levels. The concept of acceptable levels was born. So what exactly does acceptable mean? It sounds harmless, comfortable, safe, right? But this couldn't be further from the truth. In plain language, acceptable means a certain amount of sickness and death is acceptable to avoid impeding economic growth. The chemical industry argued successfully that until a chemical was found to be toxic, they should just be allowed to use it. The approval system is totally backwards. What works for the legal system, innocent until proven guilty, does not work to protect our health. Toxic chemicals should not be innocent until proven guilty, and regulatory agencies should be able to ban or restrict the use of toxic chemicals based on suggestive evidence. Is there any hope? Well, let me tell you about some studies that have made me optimistic. In the United States, the removal of lead from gasoline led to a 95% reduction in lead poisoning among children. In Scotland, a ban on smoking in public places led to a 15% reduction in babies being born prematurely among non-smoking mothers. That's better than any drug. In Mongolia, a trial of HEPA air cleaners to reduce indoor air pollution led to a 50% reduction in miscarriages and a 3-point increase in children's learning abilities. These are small and inexpensive steps that can have a big impact. So what can you do to reduce your own exposure and your family's exposure until we fix the system? Choose your daily rituals carefully. The things you do every day add up over the years. Avoid fragrances, pesticides, and tobacco smoke in and around your home. Whenever possible, choose food grown without pesticides. I know it can sound daunting and expensive, but the more people that choose organic, the less expensive it will become. Cook at home so you control the ingredients in your food. Avoid processed food and canned food. Yep, about 66% of canned goods contain bisphenol A or BPA, that chemical you were told to avoid in plastic water bottles. But most importantly, government agencies must develop laws and regulations to protect our children and families from toxic chemicals and pollutants.